Hello, everyone. I hope you're all well. So, firstly, if you like my content, if you like my videos, if you think they're interesting or perhaps get you thinking about something, please like, share, subscribe. That would be great. Um, I want to touch on issues here that I think actually affect a lot of people, and there is some overlap with the video I made about loneliness and I guess masculinity, but this is something that can affect anyone, women as well. Um, but definitely, I think loneliness is part of it. Definitely mental health, and just really the trials of living in the modern world, a world particularly that is so reliant on technology. Um, what I'm talking about is just this tendency that we have as humans to just want to get ahead, to be successful. Um, so a little bit of background here. I'm 37 at the moment. Um, and I know in a lifetime that's still pretty young. Um, I'm not even middle aged yet, so it's so young in a lifetime. But I do think in your 30s, particularly your late 30s, it's a point when you feel that every decision matters because you feel that every decision has an implication for the rest of your life. So yes, I'm young, but I feel that the decisions I'm making now are decisions that will shape. I'm not saying everything I do is going to determine the next 50 years, but I do feel pressure. I do. Um, but any ambition you have in this world, any ambition, that old saying, you can't get anything for free in this life. Well, it's true. I mean, if you win the lottery, yes, but I've heard of cases of people winning the lottery, getting these big cash windfalls, and actually they find it overwhelming, and in some cases they either blow all the money or they end up very depressed, or it's not, so unless you're very prepared for that, actually, it's not the honeymoon that a lot of people would imagine that it is. I mean, I could say I know what I would do with £10,000, £100,000. I can think of lots of ideas, but it's one thing saying that and then getting that sort of windfall. So leaving that aside, I guess there's inheritance. Um, but otherwise, most of us, we have to work for it. And the point is, it's competition. I've been watching a very good series on YouTube recently, The Histocrat. I might make actually a video about channels that I follow, but one of them is The Histocrat. That guy really does very comprehensive videos on human anthropology, particularly focusing on ancient prehistoric history. But his current, or the series I've been currently watching, is about the rise of civilization, the rise of civilization, and how that develops, how cities develop, and so on. Now, I know people probably don't watch the whole way through my videos, but do stay tuned to this one because there's a number of things I want to talk about that I think will hopefully get people thinking. I always say, multitask, do the dishes or something while you're listening to me because I've got no special graphics. So just multitask while you're listening to this. But on one hand, pre-industrial humans had challenges that we don't have. Um, that knowledge of medicine and so on was more limited, much more limited. But there was also, in some ways, life was harder but less complex. Today we have most things. If you live in, much of the world now is urbanized. We have entertainment facilities, jobs not necessarily, but there's the means for structure there. But the world can be overwhelming. Certainly, I think digital media, the internet, has totally changed the world. There's no question about that. Because so much now is online. Um, but I find that just trying to get ahead, anything you want to do, anything. I mean, let me just look at a few fields, right? Sports. If you want to do well in a particular sport, I mean, if you're ambitious in any walk of life, if you want to do well in a particular sport, um, You have to excel. That means being good, obviously, but it's more than that. There's actually a business side to sport. For example, the Olympics, you need to get sponsorship. So it doesn't matter if you're a really good athlete. There's that whole business side of it, and I think personally that's something that needs to be looked at more because I think that can possibly disadvantage people who may have potential. Um, so, in sports, especially major governing bodies of various sports, are notorious for corruption. But you want to get ahead in any sport, it's a tough, tough slog. There's the physical thing, but there's also the mental thing. And obviously, sports vary. I don't think we could say, for example, that golf is in the same category as boxing, or Olympic marathon, an Olympic 10,000 meters is the same as archery. That each sport has different disciplines and different things. But let's look at other areas. Business. Well, business is tough, isn't it? I've never been a businessman, but I don't think it takes a lot of imagination to see that there's a lot of negotiation involved, compromise, um, risk taking, politics. If you want to get into the world of politics, you need to know what you believe in. You need to then have tough skin because politicians get criticized. You have to be elected by the people, which means making yourself electable. So that's a challenge, right? You want to be a writer, you have to get published. You have to understand the world of publishing and all the business side of that, which can be a minefield. You might be a great writer, but it's getting through that. So, it's all very well saying just put on these sort of self-help gurus. This is why I'm a little bit cynical of them. They overly simplify things, something awful. They'll say just have a positive attitude and things will happen. Yeah, it's good to have a positive attitude and it's good to have that motivation. But the reality is, and I don't think this is said enough, yes, there is our own motivation. Yes, it's our own creativity and our own willpower and our own drive. That's all true. But other people absolutely have an influence there. You know, Politics, right? Prime ministers give ministers cabinet appointments. That's promotions. Um, MPs get elected. Business. And it's about convincing the other side. Trade delegation. Um, Writing. It's about convincing a publisher. And then it's understanding the markets of all of these things. Sports, it's having sometimes funding, it's having the facilities. There is so many factors involved in anything in getting ahead in this world. Let me just give one example. As a budding journalist, I apply for news agencies and websites and so on. Now, I'm not going to rubbish any company here because a big part of this video, I'm not trying to send out the message that, oh, I want people to feel sorry for me. I'm going to touch on that in a minute, but this is a typical sort of situation that you might experience. So I've made an application to a particular website, and lo and behold, when I get their welcome email, the little link button, it just keeps coming up with um, page not available at this time. So I thought, okay, maybe it's a site problem. So I waited and I tried in the daytime. I've tried on two computers. I've tried refreshing it numerous times, nothing. And when it comes to contacting this company, I've actually contacted the editor directly, which in journalism is not really a thing to do because editors are busy people. So I tried to give a very polite message, and maybe it is a site problem, but it's frustrating because you don't know what's going on. A lot of companies have a social media presence, and you wonder why because they never bother responding to inquiries, so you can't follow up. It's things like this that really test your motivation. You should think, what is the point? I'm doing what I have to do, but I'm not getting ahead. And people might think that, oh, the tone of this video is cynical. I'm not trying to be. I'm just trying to express, I think, what many people are experiencing. I certainly am. And by the way, this is why I'm really critical of why woke ideology is so divisive. Talking about white privilege, well, to a white person who might be struggling, that's kind of an insult. I came across a Yahoo News report a black director in Hollywood. I didn't read it in detail, but you can read between the lines. Says that Hollywood still has a white problem because she wasn't nominated. Well, I'm sorry. It shouldn't be a case of give me an Oscar because I'm black. That's absurd. And I think it's actually quite manipulative for her to. Um, I admit I didn't read the article in detail, but I think the message is just the wrong one. That narrative of. So I am a strong believer in meritocracy. At the same time, I believe in giving people opportunities, and people have to have a basis for opportunities. When people are trying, when they're really trying and they're doing what is asked of them, and they're still not getting those chances, it can be so disheartening. Now, I know some very successful people have had many rejections in life. The popular sort of trope is that many successful writers were rejected by publishers many times and have persevered. So I think motivation is definitely something valuable. Not to be disheartened by rejection. It's something I want to develop. It's not my strongest area, if I'm being honest. I can get disheartened by rejection, but you know, you just try, and it's like the rat race of life. You just know that you're trying, and you think, what what am I seeing out of this? What success am I getting? What recognition am I getting? And it can be draining, really. So I hope this video is constructive. I hope this video is serving some useful purpose. If for no other reason, then 20 or 30 or 40 people will see this and think, I can relate to what this guy's saying. And they can share their own stories. To me, that makes this worthwhile. Okay? Even though I'm not monetized, even though I'm not a viral YouTuber, as far as I'm concerned, if other people around the country and other countries can hear what I'm saying and maybe think of these things, that's good. That's worthwhile. Um, I want to conclude this by saying, look, my message here is not to be overly cynical and say just give up on life. I'm just saying that it's kind of it gives a case for compassion and the need to understand people and understand the pressure and the competition that we all face. If I ever get into a position whereby I'm in some sort of position of authority, I want to give people opportunities. Now, I'm not saying it will just be handed out like charity. Obviously, if you are in any sort of industry, you want people that will represent the company well or the organization well. So I understand there's always going to be that organization aspect. And I understand that leaders have to make tough decisions about who to accept and who not to, and they're not doing it out of spite. They have to make those decisions. But I would like to think if I'm ever in that position, I would really, really be keen to give people opportunities, to give people chances. Because how can people be expected to prove themselves if they're not even given a chance? That's the problem nowadays. So often, and I think there's also an age factor because so many things that are marketed at giving people opportunities are aimed at young people, and that's good, but so often it's like under 25. This is also a problem, by the way, with homelessness. I was speaking to a rough sleeper earlier, and I suggested the YMCA. He said they don't accept anyone over 25. So actually, there's a problem for not all old. I don't want to say old people, but let's say not young people. Right, anyone over the age of 25, opportunities aren't necessarily the same. So I'm totally in support of giving young people opportunities, but it's not just young people who need opportunities. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I hope it just gives something for people to think about. I don't want to be totally cynical. I've had some good experiences in life. I have had some achievements that I'm proud of. Have I done everything I would have liked to do? No, I haven't. But my ambition is always there, my drive is always there, and I just hope one day, if I'm a public figure in some capacity, I can give something back. I can do something that inspires people. I can be some sort of just give people opportunities. Just some sort of platform to inspire people and to give others opportunities. Because as far as I'm concerned, if I ever get success, yes, it will be my own hard work. Yes, it will be my own drive, but it will also be because people gave me interviews, because people gave me opportunities. That's irrefutable. You can be talented at something, but you can be a great writer, but if a publisher doesn't accept it for whatever reason, it may not be that you're not a good writer. It may be that it's not the particular market they're looking for, whatever. Or I honestly think also business is a huge thing. I think this is something that's not spoken about enough. I think there's sometimes internal politics and marketing going on. I'm not saying corruption, it's not exactly the same thing, but I do think there's maneuverings going on as to why some people get opportunities and others don't. And it's not really fair, but that's the world we live in. And ultimately, life isn't just about ambition, it's not just about this outward success, but life has to have a purpose. It really does. Okay, I'm at 16 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up, but that's it. So, as far as I'm concerned, making this video is serving a purpose. It's hopefully giving people something to think about because we're just trying to get ahead. I honestly don't think many people are content with just, well, I want to settle down and be married, and I think most people, if they're honest, will have some ambition. Maybe some more so than others. I'm a very ambitious person, very. Maybe that's why I'm hard on myself. But I think most people, if they're being honest, they will have some dream or some idea that they want to do in life. And most people, if they're being honest, will have had disappointments. So that's why I think there's a strong case to be made about giving people chances, giving people opportunities. I'm passionate about that, actually, about the idea of it. I'm not talking about just handing opportunities out, and I do believe in meritocracy. So I don't believe in tokenism, but yeah, opportunities are very important. Right, let me know your thoughts, and thanks for watching.